Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg.
Hi, welcome. Can I be honest with you guys? What? That was a rhetorical question. I'm going to tell you anyway. I think I overcomplicated and overestimated this tiny project that I was originally wanted to complete in like 3 days. It now has been more than a week.
You stupid.
So since this journey is taking a little longer than expected, I couldn't just disappear into a darkness and leave you guys alone without a video.
Stop the cap.
Again. Instead, I thought, why don't I take you with me while I make it? That way, I won't be working on it alone in complete solitude. I will still be working on it alone mostly, but I will know that you guys have my back. All you have to do is sit there, watch me yap about the process and struggle. Sounds good? Good! Think of this as something like a let's play, except instead of playing something, we are making something. So, let's make? We'll workshop the name later. You'll basically get to see some of the backstage process mixed with my personal thoughts and mistakes and whatever else happens along the way. And I get your money. Feedback. I'm also going to keep these videos pretty simple. Mostly static poses, expression changes, screen recordings, and voiceover. So please don't expect some high-effort animated masterpiece every time I make one of these. The first version of this idea actually came to me around a year ago, when I was waiting for Digimon story Time Stranger. Originally, it was supposed to be extremely simple. A VPET device, Agumon, nice composition, good pose, maybe Agumon eating some Digimeat, that's it! I thought I could just rotate the camera around it, show off the models, make everything look aesthetically pleasing, and call it finished. Now, would that have looked nice? Yes. Would that have satisfied me after doing all that work and then not animating it? No! Of course not! Because apparently I'm physically incapable of keeping an idea simple. I tried thinking of a better scenario for it, couldn't come up with anything, and eventually just left the idea alone. Actually, the old VPET model I made was specifically created for this project, so it just sat there, alone, collecting dust. Until one day, I was walking outside and noticed two siblings fighting over a snack. The older brother was already holding an empty stick, so I'm guessing he had finished his own snack. Then, somehow, he managed to convince his little brother to give him his snack too. And the little guy actually gave it to him. The older brother, without hesitation, just ate the whole thing. And then he casually handed the empty stick back to his little brother. Dude, the little guy got so mad. I mean, that's fair actually. He threw the stick at him and started crying while beating his brother with everything he had. And instead of thinking, "Oh, poor kid," my animator brain immediately went, "Whoa, wait! You just gave me a great idea for animation."
La place de la femme, c'est la cuisine.
By the time I got home, I had to write the idea down before it escaped. And because August 1st is Odaiba Day for Digimon fans, I thought Agumon and Vmon would be perfect for it. Vmon can be the nimble, mischievous one, while Agumon can be slower, little dumb, but stronger. I want the whole project to happen from basically one camera angle. The animation needs to do the heavy lifting. Okay, I will do my best not to spoil the entire animation while explaining what I'm trying to make. There are a few things I really want to show in this animation. First, pixel animation inside the VPET device. I really want the screen itself to feel alive instead of just being static texture. Second, Agumon getting his meat from the VPET. I currently have absolutely no idea how I'm going to do that. Digital distortion, portal... we'll figure it out. I wanted to feel like the Digimeat is actually coming from the little meat farm inside the VPET. Third, some funny, exaggerated facial expressions. which is actually one of the main reasons this supposedly tiny project became not tiny. And fourth, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Sounds simple when I say it like that, doesn't it? Let's talk about assets. For this scene I need Agumon and Vmon model and rig, the VPET device, and an environment with some grass and a little bit of wind. I was also thinking about putting Palmon or maybe Tanemon inside the VPET, but I'm not completely sure about that anymore. That's one of those moments where I say, oh, this would be a cute little detail. And 3 days later I'm rigging another character regretting this decision. So I'm leaving that until the main animation is at least blocked out. For now, let me show you what state everything is currently in. Let's start with our little actors. I managed to finish Agumon and Vmon rigs. And before someone thinks I modeled both of these completely from scratch, no. These are the models from Digimon Story Time Stranger. I was originally hoping I could get away with using their existing facial topology. Unfortunately, for the kind of expressions I wanted, it wasn't really enough. So I had to manually retopologize the faces and restructure them around the way I want them to deform. Basically, I want the proper edge loops around the mouth so I can make basic expressions. And of course, loops around the eyes so they can blink and actually act instead of staring into the void. I wanted to save time on these rigs. That was the plan. I thought, I don't need to use AutoRig Pro for everything, just make something simple. So for Vmon's mouth, I made these B-bone chains. Simple, right? It somehow made my life worse, because while it looks okay at first glance, getting a good pose out of it takes a lot more effort than it should. And weight painting this kind of chains can already be pain in the butt. So in my attempt to avoid spending time using AutoRig's facial rig, I created a rig that wastes my time every time I use it. I'll probably redo Vmon's mouth using AutoRig Pro's facial bones, similar to what I did with Agumon. Agumon was actually much easier. His face is basically a rectangle. AutoRig Pro's facial setup worked surprisingly well for him and saved me a lot of time. For the eyes, I used the same ribbon rig method that I used for my Fox avatar and the upcoming Renamon remake. I have fallen in love with this method. Once it's working, it's so nice to pose. The annoying part is getting it working in the first place, especially when the eyelids aren't sliding over a perfectly spherical surface. That's where things start getting little annoying. I could spend another few days trying to make the eye rig perfect, but I think I'm going to accept this slightly imperfect version. Instead, I'll create the main eye expressions beforehand, save them into a pose library and reuse them. For the body rigs, I only needed to add a few extra edge loops here and there and make some topology corrections. Thankfully, both Agumon and Vmon's bodies are working really well with AutoRig Pro, so I'm genuinely happy with that. Right now the main thing I need to fix is Vmon's mouth rig. Anyway, now it's time to show you how the VPET thingy is doing. This was the very first model I made. It's very simple, no fancy shader, no texture. Basically a default cube with some booleans. It did its job, but for the actual animation I wanted something more detailed and interesting to look at, especially the screen. I wanted to have what's the best screen right now? LCD, OLED, mini LED, whatever is coolest. The important thing is that I want the pixel art to look really clean on it. Right now the model is still in progress. I didn't record the progress, so I'll just try to replicate what I did. What I'm basically doing is putting the reference image behind the mesh and slowly tracing all of those little brick-like forms with vertices, one by one. I thought this part would be fast. I'm sure there is probably some kind of Blender wizard that takes a flat image, presses 3 buttons and suddenly a perfect geometry appears. But I'm not him, so I'm doing it the ancient way. Move one vertex, look at the reference, move another vertex. Sometimes I feel kind of bad when somebody tells me, "Whoa, your models look so good, you must be a professional." And I'm like, thanks, it's just experience. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I'm modeling by moving each vertex manually like simpleton. And I think that's something I've learned after doing 3D for this long. You don't necessarily need to know every single tool. Obviously, learning a better tool makes you faster, and I really should learn more of them. But a lot of time you just need to know enough ways to solve the problem in front of you, even if your solution is stupid. If stupid works, it's still stupid, but at least it works. So, this is everything I've managed to complete so far. We've got Agumon, we've got Vmon, their body rigs are working, their faces are mostly working, the V-pad is slowly turning from a cube into an actual V-pad. And... wait, how long has this been? More than a week? Oh my god, why is the time flying so fast? Please slow down a bit, let me catch my breath. Anyway, this is exactly why I wanted to make this video. Normally I would just disappear, work on the project in the background, underestimate how long everything takes, and then suddenly realize I haven't uploaded anything. Instead, I think this might be more fun to show you the ugly middle part 2. Not just, hey guys, look, finished animation! Because honestly, this is what making these things actually looks like. You have an idea, the idea sounds simple, you start making it, you discover 12 new problems, you solve 8, 4 evolve into stronger problems, and somehow, eventually, an animation comes out. Hopefully. So I'll make another part once I have more progress to show. Hopefully by then I'll have the V-pad finished, Vmon's mouth fixed, and maybe even the animation blockout started. And who knows, maybe I'll actually finish the whole animation before part 2. That's pretty much it for this update. Let me know what you think of this more casual let's make style of video too. If you enjoy watching the project slowly come together, I can keep sharing this little behind the scenes updates instead of disappearing into Blender for 3 weeks every time I get an idea. See ya in the next one. And let's hope I finish this thing before I have to make part 2. Bye!